Oh, wow. Well, Mar, my 2 months of no rain has finally ended here in Western Washington. It has been absolutely pouring the last couple of days, and boy, did Mother Earth need it up here. It's refreshing in a way. Although, as Northwesterners, we're constantly complaining about how much it rains up here, but the last couple of months has been absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so grateful for the sunshine that we did get. You're listening to Tom and Ramon at the Hundredth Monkey Radio, and the energy is absolutely on fire tonight. Even more so than it was yesterday. Ramon, we had quite an interesting, energetic evening yesterday. The electronics were all going wacky, and it was just here. The weather was crazy. I mean, wind was just howling, and it was pouring rain, and I just felt it all the way through to my core. So, Ramon.
Yeah?
How things in Japan tonight? Or this morning?
Well, I felt some of the energy yesterday evening, like I was feeling a lot of energy. But, other than that, I went to go eat pizza, 45 minutes away from my house. I have to travel a long ways just to get a slice of pizza. And I was disappointed.
Poor New Yorker. You get spoiled over there, and then go abroad, and here you are. You can't find a good piece of pizza.
I could. There is one place that does, but anyway, that's not important.
I don't know. That can be very important.
Yeah, I spent let me say in dollars. I spent $12 on bagels, because my wife was just wanting some like New York style bagels, and I got the bagels, and when they get here, they're all hard. So.
No.
Yeah.
Did you have them shipped or?
I think so, because no, they came from the same place where I got the slice of pizza.
Oh.
So who knows? Anyway, on the news section, the more better news. We have. Oh, I didn't put this one up yet, so I'll put it up before you guys get to listen to this. But they found a planet that has 4 stars. So, Tom, we can go there and get a nice suntan.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I saw that pop through on some of the things that I follow, Facebook or something. I thought that was pretty interesting.
The other one was the record was broken for
skydiver.
I've been talking about this for a while, ever since I watched a Star Trek episode. They're not calling it this, but I'm calling it orbital skydiving.
Oh, I'll tell you. Did you see the pictures of that guy when he took off out of that capsule or whatever the heck it was he was in?
Amazing, because you can see the planet and it's all blackness. And I think he broke the
speed of sound. Yes.
Yeah.
He was going 800 and something miles an hour at one point. That's just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Let's see, what else I got in the news? I have an article on who built the American Stonehenge. That's up in the East Coast.
Another one that I stuck up there, Ramon, is about measuring and manipulating individual quantum systems. The Nobel Prize that was given out. Wow. Did you read that?
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm really amazed by this, because the way it's written there, it doesn't mean anything, but from my understanding is they were able to create a type of paradox, and a paradox, if anybody remembers, was the whole thing about Schrodinger's cat. When you have I know it's a bad thing, and I know for your animal lovers, but it's just imagination. you put a cat in a box and there's cyanide in the box and it's not broken yet. So when the box is closed, the cat is both alive and dead at the same time. And it's not till you open the box that you collapse one reality and the cat is either dead or alive. So they're in the lab. They didn't create that, but they were able to somehow create, that's called a paradox. So they were able to create a paradox. Now, the important thing about this is, in my crazy imagination, you can build the quantum computer, because the problem with the quantum computer, whenever they go to use it, you collapse one reality, so it's not able to function at that level. So you guys can read into that and look deeper into that.
Yeah, that was a big break. That's a big break right there.
Yeah. Let's see. I think you put this one up, Tom. Now there's more ice at the South Pole than ever.
Right.
So much for global warming thawing Antarctica.
Right. You know, that's kind of anomalous. I mean, we've definitely anomalous. The North Pole is actually has less now, and the South Pole has more. So, you know, as far as the global warming thing, I think it's the jury's still out. I think we've got global warming on one hand, but because, I mean, all the planets in the solar system are heating up. But
yeah.
But you know, on the other hand, I don't know if it's I highly doubt that it is you know, humanity putting out their carbon or whatever. You know, I mean, one volcano blowing off one day puts out more than humanity put out throughout all of history or some crap like that. Or I'm thinking of CFCs.
Well, here's the one thing about that. It's like Antarctica is weird because on the coast of it, it's melting very fast.
Right.
But in the center of it, it's building up very fast. And the same thing goes, you know, some glaciers are melting very fast and others are building. But they only give you one side of the story, as always.
Right, right. Well, they want to push the carbon tax, so.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna start pushing the Ramon tax. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have problems paying that one. Okay, come on, let's get off of this now. So.
Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook. What else? I'm forgetting one.
Twitter, Vimeo.
We're also working on it. No promises, but we're working on the Google Plus that they now have, like a type of live streaming. So.
We're hoping to get that set up. We're either going to do it on Google Plus or Ustream. We're for our anniversary show on the November 17th. I believe that's a Wednesday, right, Ramon?
Si, senor.
Yeah, so we're going to do a live show, and we haven't decided exactly who we're going to pull in for that, but we will have,
Actually, that's
we'll have
Saturday.
multiple guests, and we're going to run it live and try to take calls, et cetera, et cetera. So,
yeah. So as far as that, I think that's everything. Before you introduce the guest, I want to say one thing about her. I was watching an interview she was doing, and I think it was with Lisa. And this guest, whatever she's doing something right, because her eyes, the energy coming from her eyes is so intense. The intensity, at times I just had to minimize the video so I can concentrate on hearing what she's saying and not staring at her eyes.
Oh, jeez. Ramon.
Oh, it's nothing bad. It's actually really good. It's very strong intensity. Anyway. Tom,
so we have a special gift for you guys tonight. We have Marlise Karlin with us. Marlise is a visionary pioneer, author, and humanitarian, recognized globally for igniting an energy of peace that brings exceptional healing to the mind and body. Marlise's journey was fueled by the limitations of her dramatic childhood circumstances. Growing up with an alcoholic parent, becoming a teen runaway, substance abuser, and then a young single mother. Although she later became a successful entrepreneur and award-winning film producer, few would have foretold the extraordinary shift that would cause her to become a humanitarian dedicated to expanding peace in the world. Marlise, welcome so much to the 100th Monkey Radio.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here with both of you.
Yeah, we're really, really excited. I was looking to some of your work, and it's just amazing. So, Tom, you want to start it off, or you want me to start it off?
You were talking. Go for it, Moan.
No, sometimes I jump ahead of myself.
Don't worry, everybody. We are professionals. We know exactly what we're doing.
What's this button for? So, Marlise, how did you always have that intensity in your eye, or was that something that through your practice came through later on?
No, it's, as this universal life force energy, that's one term I give it, and there's many different names we can call what this is. But when I began to experience it, it was resonating through me with such high levels. It began to move through, my whole body. And it's something quite interesting because even though, I've been on a journey of soul searching and doing practices and meditation, when this came to me, it completely shifted my perception of who we are. And it opened up an entirely different understanding. And what I could also experience is how that I love it that this scientist that has come and done my programs, he calls it the bio bodysuit. He calls how this bio bodysuit literally gets out of the way, in a sense, when you are allowing that level of conscious energy to move through you, because it goes way beyond the bio bodysuit. And that was part of my experience. I experienced it moving out from me. So there really wasn't this Marlise in this contained body. It was an experience of this heightened vibration blending in with everything around me, and everything had turned into this beautiful, beautiful expansion of light, and it was sensorial. So I was in the experience of what all our senses are really capable of. And even though we know that what this is has been spoken of, it's beyond the senses, it incorporates all of our senses when we're in that experience. So touch becomes completely different. Smell becomes different. What you see, and what you see through the eyes and the light and the forms of what we normally see becomes different. So I noticed that shooting through my eyes also, and I'll tell you, Ramon, what's interesting is when it first began to happen, I would almost want to pull it back because I could see someone, diving into it. It was like affecting them.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Whoa, what's happening? Because I wasn't being in the intention to say, oh, let me give it to you. That wasn't what was happening. And I could feel it being moved through me, because clearly what I've come to understand is there are times when our soul is asking for something that our mind isn't even knowing that we're asking for.
Right.
And so it can come to us.
Right.
So, bringing that up, they always say that the eyes are the window to the soul. What is your feeling on that? Because, for example, there was this, there was this exercise I used to do. I haven't done it in a while, but it was an exercise where you look in the mirror and you stare into your eyes, like if you were another person, and just keep staring and try to go deep into it. So.
And how did it work for you?
You know, it worked both ways. One way was very intense, and the other way was kind of very scary, because as you know, they always say, it's like you are your worst enemy, so you are who you're scared of.
The mind. Yeah. The mind jumped in and wanted to start telling you a story about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always call it the old lady, your old lady who's always gossiping.
Yeah, exactly. I call it the roommate you should get rid of, because it doesn't stop, telling you who you are, what doesn't work, and all of that. So, but what I experience is, I'll tell you, it's a journey, and I have learned how to allow this to move through me. What I understand is we are all vehicles. We are all vehicles for bringing consciousness into the world. But what's happened is I have learned how to be really an open vehicle. So it moves through me with really great intensity. And I have been burned in the fires of that alchemy of truth. Because for years I went through different experiences when I was with, masters of meditation and masters of healing, and watched my ego and my this and my that get burned up. And so I think I've always wanted this experience because of starting off with such a rough background in the beginning, leaving home at 16, teen mother, alcoholic father, abuse, total drugs. I was always looking for this experience. And sometimes I think people, through these different drugs have these moments of when you know what it's like to be beyond that mind that drives you crazy, beyond the reality of the world where nothing makes sense, beyond, all of that. But the only thing is the drug is going to fade, and the drug is going to take you into a dark alleyway somewhere where you can't get out again.
Right.
Where when you're accessing this experience of truth, it's so extraordinary that it's answering everything you've ever wanted to know. And then what I find is, it's really about bringing this experience on a slightly different level into the everyday of life, because that's a peak moment. And I have had other peak moments, and yes, they last. And many people doing this methodology that I developed are having these experiences completely with the not being their bio-body suit, not being, and dropping into this spacious peace within moments. I'm not talking years and years of working at it, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying boom, like that. Some people have had it within minutes of just beginning, and other people have it happening at different times in a month's time or in a week's time or in 2 months' time. And then as it integrates, it gets deeper and deeper. So, but it's something that is accessible today more than ever before. And my feeling is we couldn't have accessed this on a mass level years ago because we would have all been having to take away in the white suits. You know what I mean? It would have been too much to the brain to understand.
Why now? Why are we able to do it now?
Well, I think consciousness has already risen tremendously, from look at, this kind of conversation.
There you go.
Going out.
I was thinking about that yesterday because there's a friend of mine who used to be a gang member, a very hardcore gang member, and I won't go deeper into his story because then people know who I'm talking about. But he, some of the stuff I see him posting on Facebook now, I'm just like, wow, him? Out of all people. So yeah, there's definitely something happening because me and Tom are always I'm always flabbergasted when people out of left field I don't expect to be into this at all come out, questioning and asking, and I'm really surprised.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, and I think you can appreciate this. a couple of years ago, I was in Chicago, and I gave a program for inner city kids. And they were from ages 10 to 19. And from what the counselors told me, very, very tough backgrounds. And what many of them were living in right now, with, abuse going on at home, violence, drugs, everything you can think of. And that some of them had recently gotten off of drugs, some might still be on drugs, that whole kind of thing. Yeah. And I spoke to them about what this is in a simplistic form. I spoke to them about, looking for love where you can't find it because people that you're looking to go want it from, they're not in the experience. And when I had this experience, I got it. And I got it to last in my lifetime. So I said, maybe all the tough things that have happened to you in your life brought you to be here right here today so you could find that out for yourself right now. And I did a stillness session. At that time, I did a 22-minute stillness session. You could hear a pin drop. Now imagine kids, right, active kids, getting that still. And I will tell you, if there was a bully in the room, I knew who he was. And at the end of the stillness, as I'm going around, and there were, some of these guys were like, whoa, I don't know what just happened. But I felt this energy thing, right? They're like looking around the room like, what is that, right? And then I get to the guy that I would have thought would be the bully. He had his arms crossed, and he said, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And I got up to him, and I said, I got it. I said, it made you feel, didn't it? And it doesn't feel safe to feel those feelings. And I said, but I want you to know something. If you don't let those feelings come up and out of you, do you know what happens? What do you think all the cancers and sickness in the world is all about? It's people holding on to that denser emotional stuff that happens to us. And you know what? At the end of the program, he signed up to be in a program with me. Actually, 100% of the room did. 100%.
Nice.
Wow.
And that's kids who don't have any meditation background or they don't have any spiritual thing going on, you would think.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they got it.
Right.
So that's why I say, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So before we jump deeper into your processes, I'd like to jump back a little bit. A question we do like to ask most of our guests is did you get the proverbial 2x4 upside the head to wake you up and get you started on this path, or what prompted you to start seeking consciousness?
It was a black belt.
Is that equal to my wooden spoon?
I think so. But I didn't know I was looking for consciousness. I was just looking for, not having the suffering that I was going through, not having the pain, not feeling so unloved. And also, it was my father gave me labels, who I was, that I wouldn't even repeat to anyone today. And I knew I wasn't that, so I had to go searching. But when I shifted, also I'll just say, which is a funny thing, I had heard that there was an enlightened master in Santa Monica. And so I jokingly thought, well, let me check this out. And I went down there on cocaine.
Wow.
Isn't that a great way to go to a meditation thing,
Yeah. I hope you weren't chewing your jaw when you went down there.
Yes, I was.
You start snapping.
It was really a hilarious thing.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, that's good. Huh? Chewing your jaw. Chewing your jaw. That's when you're so geeked up on coke that you start chewing down and your jaw starts moving by itself.
Yes.
Ramona, you're talking from experience too.
I grew up on a place called Amsterdam Avenue, and they don't call it Amsterdam Avenue for nothing.
Yeah.
But so, what was that experience like? Did he Were you able to get
Well,
into
I'll
any?
tell you, when I went in there and I went to meet him, and the moment I got in front of him, I felt that awakening energy moving through me.
Wow.
And it made no sense to my mind at all. And I felt it right then. It just began to move through me. And I, in the days to come, I actually began purifying. My body began purifying. That's what this energy does. So whatever your addictions are, it begins to purify those lower, denser emotions and whatever sits in the cells of our body that makes us keep being drawn to the different addictive tendencies that we have. And so that at the time it was like, wait a minute, how could this be happening to me? But within that night I stopped smoking pot, and within 30 days I was off of cocaine.
Wow.
So, it was a very, very powerful experience, and that opened up for me like this whole world of curiosity. And that's when I began studying all these different healing modalities, and I began studying deeper into ancient scriptures, and I began, and then as the new science came into, what is the science, and how is that, and what is all this evolutionary thought, and what about the laws of attraction, and I began just bringing all of that expert wisdom my way. And because that was to be, where I developed the practices, which are part of the Simplicity of Stillness method. So once you begin experiencing this energy igniting, and many of you are already in that experience. So what I'm talking about is accessing it even more consistently and just accelerating that experience that you're in, because it's infinite. Why wouldn't it be possible to continually accelerate where we are? You know what I'm saying? And in a very, very simple way. And what people have found is many people now, their bodies begin going through this purification as well by doing the Simplicity of Stillness method.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit to the addiction, because I think this is very important, because for the majority of us, we have one form of addiction or another. And what you're always told about addiction is you have to ignore it. It's going to be in the back of your mind, that monkey hitting you on the head. You just got to ignore the monkey. But you're saying the complete opposite. So,
I always thought that thing that said "just say no" was about the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard in my life. You got to be quoting. Is your consciousness, is that possible when, your whole body is like going crazy? I don't think so. There is no just say no. And that's what's so fantastic when our body starts getting purified. It isn't that we're not going to join the journey, because the mind has to join you. You also have to want this. You know what I'm saying? But I saw many of my personal addictions just get dissolved. And, some of them, it took me longer to give up smoking than it did cocaine. Make sense out of that. But because I think we have a personal journey, where we have to join it. We have to also go through this understanding so we can assist others. But I will tell you that this energy, and I call it the energy of peace, it does begin to purify these places within your body that are drawn to these different addictions. And the book tells you stories of different people, who literally quit drinking overnight. One man quit drinking after a month, who had been drinking a quart of Jack Daniels for his life.
So the name of the book is The Power of Peace in You. And real quick, where can people pick that up, or if they'd like to check that out while they're listening to this?
Yes. Well, it is at Barnes & Noble, and it is at Amazon. But if you go to powerofpeaceinyou.com, there I have gifts for you. You can have a stillness session, so you can begin to experience that new form of meditation. And there's also an excerpt of the book, so you can read it and you can begin seeing what this is like for you. And then there's also a video you can download where you hear me speaking about it in a course.
Nice. So you mentioned this energy several times. Can you elaborate a little bit on that energy? Have you kind of worked out within your own mind what this energy is?
Yes. It's pure consciousness. And because that feels a little too formless for us to deal with, and I know as, we all have different forms that we look to and feel comfortable with, that when we, are in prayer, like many people, are finding this with God, and so in prayer you can access God and God gives you hope and God gives you this and that. Many other people don't use that word, that terminology. They might say, no, I find it in Buddha. Or, others might say it's the quantum sea. And others might say, no, it's nature. And that's why I actually use peace, the energy of peace, because it's a word we can all agree on, peace. And then when you're in the experience, because you don't have to believe a word I'm saying. When you're in the experience, it'll teach you everything you need to know. Because what is opening up inside you is access to that higher source within you by whatever name you want to give it.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, so you just put us at a So
say that again. Yeah.
No, you put us in a peaceful state, so we're drawing a blank for a second there. So
that happens. I'll tell you, Ramon, which I love hearing that too. I've been meeting with different radio hosts in the last month, and I've heard from many people saying, wow, I'm reading the book, and I'm finding this incredible peace jumping off the pages. And I hadn't even gotten to the stillness session. And that's another level of understanding for all of us, isn't it? Because what that means is, and what it's demonstrating is, when we're in a state of connection, when we're in that place of deep peace, that is that energy form, it resonates out beyond the body. So of course it's going to be inside words. And of course it's going to emanate out way beyond just that electromagnetic field of, 6 feet, 12 feet, 20 feet. It emanates way beyond. And so that's why you'll find, throughout the book, stories of people like the woman who was on a teleseminar and her phone dropped out, right? And so she dropped the call and she said, oh, I didn't get it. And when I spoke to her later, I said, no, you drew to you exactly what you were meant to get. That's what our soul does. It draws to us exactly this experience we are meant to get in each moment. You have the wanting, you'll see what happens. Literally less than 24 hours later, when she walked into work, she completely got from the first email that she had been living with this man being extremely abusive, her boss, and that she had taken it for 17 years. And she stood up from her desk and said, that's it. Now look, 17 years, she realized that she was in a bad situation, but her consciousness moved up to a level of not only saying, now I really get it, it also gave her the benefit of the courage that comes with it and the strength to knowing who you are, that you're going to be fine, so that she could walk into his office, tell him how she felt, walk out the door, and begin a whole new life for herself.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I always find it absolutely fascinating, and I found it amazing for myself that when I really started finding peace within myself through my own meditations, that so many other areas in my life, just the issues were all resolved. The path was cleared, so to say. and everything seemed to just start clicking together inexplicably. You know, I did tried to understand how doing this over here created this outcome over there, that there's absolutely no connection between except for my consciousness. So, you know, I just always found that absolutely fascinating, the way the magic happens.
It is. The synchronicity that begins. And then you begin to understand how that you are literally drawing those events to you through the thoughts you're thinking, through the actions you're taking.
Right.
And that's how we begin to understand so much more how we can all be responsible for bringing about a different world that we want to live in. You know, and it starts so simply. So it's not some woo-woo, airy-fairy thing. It's like right here, right now. Right here, right now. Because the more we're connecting into this conscious awareness and being that in the world, like you said, you know, now you're being more responsible for your state. You are, you know, you probably didn't have the arguments you did before. You saw things in a different way, you know, and that begins to shift consciousness everywhere. And it makes life so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely, absolutely. So right now in the world that we live in, I mean, you look out, you know, if you turn on the news, it looks pretty bleak and ugly and not very pleasant to witness. And there's so many people that are going, oh, you need to join this group or go do this or protest there or occupy this and occupy that. Excuse me. I'm on one level, I see where, yeah, you know, these people need to go do this for themselves. But me personally, I see where, you know, I know I am where I'm supposed to be, et cetera, but I'm thinking for other people when they start asking those questions about whether, what's the most important work that I should be doing to help clean this world, to help straighten things out, to help make life more pleasant here on this planet. You know, what would you suggest the first thing a person should do to contribute, to do something to help usher in this new paradigm?
What I see is that when you continually access the inspiration from infinite intelligence, you are going to be guided. And it's going to be different for every single human being. And so some people will be holding that space of peace and emanating it out. Other people will be developing different technology that will assist with cleaning up the rivers. Other people will be developing new forms of government where people actually work together and are aiming at solutions for the planet as a whole and for world communities to work together. You know, it's all different. But I will say that, you know, for Occupy and the different things that are happening in this way, you know, one thing I noticed for myself is, I'll give you this silly little example, but I think it's important because it's how life is. Like, we don't have these huge experiences every moment of the day. We're living life, you know, and these mundane things happen. So I was at a conference, women's conference with thousands of people. And I had been told I would speak on this stage at 12:30. And at 1 o'clock, the celebrity that was the keynote speaker would be coming on and speaking. Fantastic. Now, I get there on the day, and suddenly they call me. Well, actually, they call me that morning. They say, we have to change you because we think we're going to have to fix the stage in advance of the speaker, so we're going to move you up to 12 o'clock. Okay. Now, I get there. Somebody's speaking on the stage at 12 o'clock. She's still speaking on the stage at 12:05. People were handed things at the door that say that I'm going to speak at 12:30, and another sign was up saying I was speaking at 12. So for anyone who had come to hear me speak, that could have been slightly confusing.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm meant to be here and to give my talk, so what am I going to do? So I walk away, I get in my state, I go, what will work best? And I go, you know what, I'm going to straddle both worlds. My intention is I'll speak from 12:15 to 12:45. I walk back over at 12:15. Union guys are up on ladders fixing the stage. And I said, hello, I need to speak now. Would you be able to remove your ladders? You missed it. You can't speak now. We got work to do.
Wow.
I go, oh, okay.
Sounds like union, guys.
Let me ask, Well, I go, let me ask you something. Are you in charge here? And he goes, no, we're just in charge of getting the stage set. I said, okay, thank you. And I turned around and I said, is there a stage manager near here? And I want you to know, there's a big group of people seated waiting to hear me speak right behind me. They can hear every word I'm speaking. And the union guys and the whole thing, right? And so a stage manager comes over and he said, you missed it. You should have been here at 12. And I went, let me just explain something. I said, I know it was supposed to be 12, but it was also supposed to be 12:30. It didn't seem to work out, and I'm here right now. It's 12:15. I'm ready to speak. How about giving me the mic, and I promise you I will be off the stage in time that you can do everything you need to bring the celebrity on. He goes, oh, okay. And he handed me the mic, and look, I'm speaking about the power piece in you. If I had gotten irate at the union guys or the stage manager for the amount of confusion that had been created, how powerful would I have been with my talk? So I didn't let anybody run me over, and I didn't let anybody change my state. And I was there for people. So wouldn't it be great if the people who are recognizing that there are things that aren't working could take a stand and in a powerful way come together and say, this doesn't work for us, and we want to change it. But not get violent, not get, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because there must be a way to bring about this change, but I don't think rolling over is going to make it either.
I like what you said.
I don't know I don't know what the answer is, but I've seen from how I've changed, how I can communicate and be with people from that place of peace, that it doesn't, you don't get rolled over. But I'm speaking from integrity. That guy was doing his job. I don't have to get mad at him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm sure he and I could be friends. You know what I mean? So there's a place that we can learn to be with each other, where we're valuing each other, we appreciate the other person, and we're working together toward a goal that we really all want. At the end of the day, we all want some of the same things. Right. To live a peaceful life, to not have war, to not, you know what I mean? I know that we can aim toward this, and that will bring a shift.
Yeah, that made me think of the phrase, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Along those lines, where universe will present to you the right answers for every situation.
Yes, exactly. And believe me, coming from the angry human being who ended up in the hospital time and again because I had so much anger every time I spoke about my father, I doubled over and ended up in pain with illness. So coming from someone who used to live in a state of anger all the time, look at that shift in who I was being in that moment, and that I didn't get triggered by anything, and I still could bring about a successful outcome. So that's what's possible for all of us, and that's what I think is why this is why I developed this methodology, so that it's so simple. Kids can do it, because I can do this with, like I said, 9-year-olds and 6-year-olds and all of that, and people who've been on a lifetime journey, including scientists and Buddhist monks, can tap into it, because we're just accessing our own truth.
So I'm just curious, because so many of us have bad relationships with our dads. Because I think more than a few of us come from dysfunctional families.
Yeah.
How is your relationship with your dad now? Because of your own personal change, has that changed the relationship?
Well, my dad's passed on. But let me tell you this, what happened is I reached a place where I contacted him. And, and I have a child. And so, you want your child to know his grandparents and things like that, right? So you already have a reason why you want to be back in each other's lives on some level. But also what had happened for me is the more conscious I became and the more I experienced that state of love that is at the depth of this energy field within us, I recognized that my father might never experience that in his whole life. And when I went into his background, his father was an alcoholic. His father beat him. His mother talked horribly, abusively to him and to my mother. So what am I expecting from this man?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I could actually forgive him and have love for him. And when I did that, I actually even had a time where I invited him and my mother to come and stay with me because my mother needed to go through some alternative health work. And I wrote him a letter and I said, I can't throw stones. I'm a mother. I've done things I don't feel proud about. And I said, so all I want to do is tell you I want us to get along. And I'm just going to ask you when you're in my home not to drink because it makes me so sad that I can't deal with it. And I said, but I'm not asking you to stop. I will get you a hotel room. And you can stay there, and then when you're finished, you can come back. And you know what? During the time that he came to stay with me with my mother kept saying, what have you done to your father? He's not even the same person. And he stopped drinking. Now, I know it was probably a dry drunk, you know what I'm saying? He stopped drinking during the time he was there. But I actually got to witness and spend time with a man that was fun, caring, loved me. So somehow I had a window of time to be with a man and not his disease.
Right.
And his, you know what I mean? And so I appreciate that about him. And I personally feel when you understand, like, dimensions and who we are in the different worlds, my father played a role in my life, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was a catalyst for me to begin this journey from a very early age. Somebody had to play that role. And if you believe that we get to play in this other dimension before we get here and make these decisions, too bad, because I hated you. So you took on a tough role. I wasn't very nice to you either. You know? So thank you for taking on that role.
Yeah. And most of the really major learning phases I've gone through and lessons that I've experienced of the unpleasant nature have been some of the biggest learning experiences that I've had the most impact through those traumas. I'm not saying that you can't learn without the trauma, but for me personally, I learned so much through the hardships that I endured. So before we get out of the first hour here, would you explain a little bit about this method, the simplicity of stillness, and we'll actually end this first hour with sharing a little bit of that.
Great. Well, the simplicity of stillness method is three main elements. And it's about bringing the profound into the practical of life so that we can experience all the benefits of what that meditation and bringing higher consciousness into our lives is all about. And so stillness sessions are this unique new form of meditation that's just music and words. And so as you listen to them, you will feel that energy moving through it, because it's completely charged with that energy of peace. And then there is the 3-breath awareness tool, which is a reconnection tool. So in the middle of the day when you're at work and you're not able to go and grab your iPod and listen to a stillness session, you can just begin breathing deep through this process, and you'll feel that energy moving within the cells of your body and connecting you to that deep peace at your core. And then the practices, and there are 11 of them in the Power of Peace in You book, they are all the different ways to integrate this experience, this profound experience into your life. And it goes from how to deal with the resistance that we're feeling, when we want to release it, the anger, the worry, the fear. There's a whole new form of a creation process, and how you can draw to you what it is you're wanting to understand about where to go to find that new job, or how to create that relationship, or how to get over that pain that you're experiencing. And then there's learning to trust and connecting to that teacher, that inner teacher. So it takes you through all these different practices that we all have need of at different times in our lives. And so you can literally walk through the Power of Peace in You like a course, and it has all of the Simplicity of Stillness method within it, including, as we said, the Stillness Session CD.
Right. I read quite a bit, and when I opened this book the other day, and I finished it yesterday, but I read this in 3 sittings, which is pretty unusual for me. Normally it's, half a dozen or more sittings for a book. But I was pretty much hooked the first day. You did an excellent job of putting it in terms and words that are very easy to follow. And I really do appreciate that. So,
is this your is this your first book?
It is.
Well done. Yes, very well.
Congratulations.
Very well done.
Thank you.
So were you able to write this book in 2-3 sittings?
Oh, I wish. No, the writing of the book taught me, and it was also, people's experiences. And I will say, which is really incredible, because I was guided at different times, because you might notice the difference between laying the foundation, where I'm making it really clear, the science, the ancient teachings, all the different modalities that help me understand how this was possible and where it came from. And then when you start going into the map, so that you recognize how you're going to begin shifting your behavior and how you can leave some of your old habits behind. So that to me is tapping in visually and showing people, how we can do this visually. So I'm kind of tapping into the different senses. And then when you get to the stories of the people, that's where I was like, I love telling the stories of the people, because they so inspired me.
Right.
The things that they did in their lives were like, wow. I was like blown away watching it. But I'll tell you, this was something, you know who Wade Davis is? Well, Wade Davis, he wrote the foreword. He wrote a book called The River. And he's written, and you might have seen him on TED Talks. He's probably given 3 TED Talks, and he's just absolutely an amazing communicator. He's a Nat Geo explorer, and he's a scientist and he's just got a huge list of all the things that he's done. And he writes so like Hemingway, so beautiful. And I happened to meet him on a trip, and as we began speaking and I listened to him, by the time I got home, I sat down to write, and I had already written the stories, but the rewrite came through, and words were coming through me like, well, I didn't even know what they meant. I had to go look them up, because now that's how we inspire each other in life. You know what I'm saying? He so inspired me. I think it just began to pour through me some of that lyrical way that he writes, because that lyrical way of writing in the stories is very different than the beginning when I'm writing the ABCs, isn't it?
Energetic exchange.
Yes, yeah. That was great.
Okay, so is there any preparation you suggest people do for before listening to these?
Well, what I would say for today is, and are we going to go into it now?
Yeah.
Okay, and even if you're going to break, I would appreciate if we, at the end of it, if you let me bring people out for a moment.
Absolutely.
And then we can go to break after that. So wherever you are right now, if you have the luxury of being where you can lay down, please do that. If you're seated in a chair, then just completely relax your body, and you can place your hands in your lap. You might want to place them palms up. And if you're driving because you've downloaded this, then do keep your focus and know that you can come back and allow yourself that total relaxation later. And just know that you are drawing to you in this brief amount of time whatever you are meant to know. And begin breathing deep. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to think about. Whatever it is that's happening is perfect. So let's begin now.
Relax and let the world drift away. Now is that perfect moment where there is nothing more to do, nothing more to say. Just allow the beat of your heart to guide the way. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Feel the resonance of love as that energy stream of pure peace dances and moves within you. See that luminous light as it radiates from your core out into this world. The wind is whispering your name. As the rain washes your worries away, so you can breathe in the knowing of you. just breathe in the knowing of you. It's time to open your mind and be free. There is power and peace in you. There is so much power and peace in you. Breathe in the knowing now and be in the stillness within.
It's okay. Well,
So I can bring people back now if you like. Is everybody back?
yeah, that one thing that does for me is, and I noticed it the first time I listened to it, makes me very present within myself. You know, you know how we always constantly have our feelers out in the world around us. You know, it has, and I listen to a lot of different meditation musics in my meditations, and this one has an effect that was remarkable enough that it definitely brought it to my consciousness. That it brought me in and made me very present within my body. So I really enjoyed that feeling too. So.
And it's what I want you to know is, as you continue bringing your, listening, it will take you different places. So because it's different every time, because it's going to draw to us what we're asking for in that moment, even if we don't consciously know that. And that's what's so beautiful. And that, and what you're doing is like imagine that every time you do something, that you're bringing that state of presence with you. So always at the end of each time that you do a stillness session or you're going into stillness, what I invite you to do is become aware of what you're experiencing in that moment, and then bring that awareness with you back into the space where you are. Because that way, you can literally have a visual, seeing that state of presence emanating out wider. Because you're in it now, and that field that moves out from you, that conscious energy that moves out from you, is expanding to be in the space where you are.
Right.
That's great.
Okay, shall we bring our listeners out of it?
It's nice.
I think you can keep that all in, because your voice was already in that state.
All right.
See, so that's always my concern is when I'm offering this, that in case someone, the host, didn't also do the experience simultaneously, they could come back and literally their state will be jarring to everyone. So you were already in that state. So how you spoke was perfect. You see what I'm saying? Because it resonated with the state that we're in as we're moving out of this. So there was a similar resonance going there. So I would leave the whole thing in, because it's beautiful, because you're sharing from that experience. And then I did speak about bringing that in, So that's all of us. Now they're getting this authentic moment that we're all having, and bringing everyone into that experience.
fantastic.
It's all good.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I don't even think we need to say our usual saying.
Yeah.
I think she said it for us.
yeah. So let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and chat a little bit more about the power of peace.
After these messages, be right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. Okay. We'll see you guys in the members section.